This is Stephanie Diaz de Leon.
And this is Rob Travel.
And it's 365 Amplified. I feel a little different because the mic is weird.
How's the mic weird?
It's like, so you're...
It's different.
It's a, yeah. So I'm feeling awkward about it. It's fine.
In a little bit, we're going to have Juliana Bennett on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Dahmer, our colleague, talk to her. She's running for the 76th Assembly District and covering downtown Madison and the Near East Side, and the North Side. But before that, a couple of news things to get to. We have an update on the Harm Reduction Center that is maybe going to go in on the East Side, or was proposed to go in on the East Side.
Yep.
Just a quick synopsis. The Opioid Settlement Subcommittee recommends how do you use that
funding.
Those dollars that they got from the opioid settlement. They decided they recommended. I was scolded by the county board, by the way.
For what?
Because I said the opioid subcommittee allocates money.
Oh dear goodness! They recommend.
I'm being careful to say that they recommend allocations.
They recommend,
and they've never had a recommendation declined. So every recommendation for allocation that they've made has been implemented, but they didn't allocate the money. So let's be very careful about that. But they recommended the allocation.
So wait a minute. So you scolded them first with your news story. So they scolded you with a technicality in the language.
Well,
which is important, absolutely an important thing. But like,
we want to be precise.
No, we want to be correct, right? And we don't want to make an implication.
The county board is attempting to distance itself
from the whole process,
from this whole problem.
Yeah.
So getting back to this, that subcommittee recommended the allocation of $2.4 million to open a harm reduction center.
Yes,
which is different than a treatment clinic, different than a shelter.
Absolutely,
it has a specific
task,
definition, a specific task. Yes, and Public Health Madison-Dane County was going to run it, or was going to manage the contract.
Yeah,
and Kaya Clinic. Kaya, standing for Come As You Are Clinic, has been running a treatment clinic on the East Side for 2 years now. They won the contract. The bid, their proposal was chosen among the four proposals that were made. They have now
pulled out.
No, they have not.
Oh,
which is interesting.
So they haven't pulled out.
Well, the Skye Bowman, the founder of that clinic, sent a letter to the Board of Health, which is set to vote on this proposal this month, in February, and said support starting over with the new request for proposals, because they admit that in their proposal, they said they were led by BIPOC people, and they don't even have one BIPOC person on staff.
No, they have nobody on staff yet.
They said it was a mistake. They said they blamed AI.
AI is not fault. Okay, I'm going to go back to this. I'm going to pull this out again. And I know it may be nitpicky, but it's not. Because here's the thing. When they said that they wrote a larger proposal and had to trim it down. AI does not decide what to keep and what not to keep. You all get to say, please remove this language. You can say, here's what I need you to adjust to. It does what you look, AI does what you tell it to do, or what you tell it not to do.
I could see this case where
because you can. First of all, it was in the original language. Wow. Second of all, when you say, I got to cut this down, is what part of this isn't true, or is it necessary?
I'm gonna read it again.
Yeah. And then I'm saying, as you go through it, as you decide, hey, I need to trim this down, you think about what is useful and what isn't useful. And then maybe think, you know what's often not useful? Lies, right? And then after you read that first version of it that they sent you, then you go through and edit it. Let's say you miss let's not include the not truthful part of what I'm submitting. Then you read through it and edit it yourself. So the language of it's AI's fault. No, it's you just take accountability. You've gotten to this point where you've hey, we believe it should be this now because we thought it was important to stretch what we had, because we had the intention of hiring people in the future who were Black, Brown, Indigenous,
they were definitely
etc.
going to try to staff the center.
Yeah, with local people of color, right? And we should have just said that we intend to hire people of color or from the neighborhood.
Well, and the thing is, the RFP didn't even specify that.
No, I didn't ask that, but they assumed somebody told them it's probably best, or they thought themselves it was probably best to say that.
And they said they didn't even know it was in there until I asked them about it.
No, they knew. They didn't think anybody would ask.
And then Skye Bowman said that she had hastily edited it and accidentally put it in there, and then a week later she blamed AI for it. But anyway, so given that, and given that they did take accountability for that, and they said that we did harm by doing that,
except they blamed AI, not themselves. Like they didn't take full accountability.
Right. But in this letter, they say this is a harm, and we take accountability, and we stand with Anesis, which is one of the other organizations that applied, in calling for a new RFP process. So I reported that they had withdrawn from the process.
Yeah.
There's a legal process that has to happen, right? There's an open meetings law. So there's voting on this particular proposal is already on the agenda for the Board of Health in February. So like the county corporation council is like, I'm not sure what to do with this. Do we still hold a vote on this and just vote no? Or so he asked Sky Bowman for clarification. You actually pulling out, and she said, "Oh no,
what?
No, we're not withdrawing. We just think there should be a new RFP." So my question to her, and I'm waiting to hear back, is: so if they vote yes on this, you're going to take it?
Well, that's the other thing. Why not pull out so there is a new RFP process? Like why not ask and say, "Hey, if I pull out, you then will it count against us? Would it harm us to pull out and not resubmit? Or can we just say this and you all vote no, or encourage you all to vote no?"
Right.
And
that is probably what's going to happen. Is that the Board of Health will accept Kaya's letter and call for a new process.
Did AI write this letter? Like my thing is possibly. Like, wait, but she's not even pulling out?
That's what they said. That's what she said. She made this letter sound 100% like they were pulling out of the process, which is why I reported it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So my reporting was wrong, apparently. But my question to them again is, then what
was the point of the letter? What is the point of the letter then?
Right. What was the point?
Except to get you all to get on their side again, right? So like, oh, look at them being bigger, like, and recognizing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they wanted a different headline for themselves. Again, white people, you don't have to martyr. I'm going to see it anyways. If you martyr, the only person, and when you wear that crown of thorns, the only person that bleeds is you. That's it.
So evidently there's some legal justification for this. I think the most simple explanation, the most simple solution is probably what's going to happen is in 2 weeks, the Board of Health is going to meet and just vote no on the proposal, and then they'll have to open a new RFP.
What? I mean, yes. And it feels like the need to be centered in this conversation is still this organization that claims to want what's best for this process.
Yeah.
Rather than what is appropriate for what Dane County needs and how they need it, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Like they are making this a story longer than it needs to be.
Right.
Unnecessarily.
So that we'll continue to follow that. At this point, I think it's unlikely that this harm reduction center will happen anytime soon, honestly, which there is something to be said for Madison kind of drags these things out and it has a hard time just doing something. But at the same time, I get it. Like this was not done in a way that is necessarily constructive or conducive to success. The other thing we want to mention before we get to the more fun story is that Wisconsin Watch did a very nice piece that we have republished outlining gun laws, especially related to protests, which is something I never thought we'd have to talk about.
Yes. In protest or in a space where you're trying to protect your neighbors in your community, because it is a different thing, right?
That's actually a really good point.
Because there is a
protest, and we're obviously in the context of the shooting of Alex Pretti in Minneapolis last weekend. That wasn't a protest.
That wasn't a protest.
Whatever.
I think also I want to remind people that there's this language being used, and I don't think people are purposefully doing this in sort of a romanticized way, right? That what's going on in Minneapolis, what's going on in that space is a protest, and it is not a protest.
It is not. It's more of a conflict, or
it's sort of I don't even call it an uprising. It really is just affirming certain parts of our rights under the Constitution, right? Like not just the right to gather and protest. It's beyond that. Is that people are being picked up and essentially kidnapped without any sort of justification or
which is a violation of the Fourth Amendment.
Yes. Absolutely. In so many different ways. And, and being searched and literally seized from the streets, right? And for an administrative misdemeanor, quite frankly, right? Like, this is an administrative.
It's a civil offense.
Yeah, it's administrative. Yeah, it's administrative, right?
Yep.
Like, please show up to this specific type of court. Here's your ticket, and here's your reminder of it.
Yeah.
Right. So the extension of that is a violation for of constitutional rights for folks to feel safe from the federal government. Understand that the Bill of Rights, our Constitution, is for protection against state and, well, not mostly state and federal government.
Well,
and you're shaking your head, and I think people forget that.
That's been the argument of the far right for the Second Amendment.
Yeah, and for even the distinction about how the Fourth Amendment is applied, right? And so insofar as they even made sure that businesses were protected from the federal government from overreach, right? So when we think and we talk about things, I want us to be incredibly aware of what is happening in Minneapolis, what is happening in LA, what is happening in different places across the United States.
How Tom Homan referred to it today? This is today.
So if we want to talk about the difference between Tom Homan and what they're going to do there, and the language that he has used before, I'm happy to do it, because I think folks don't necessarily recognize what's going to happen with Tom Homan and what that signals.
Right, which is like Greg Bovino, the wee fascist, who was running the operation there.
Running on the operation under Kristi Noem and Corey Lewandowski, who was a special advisor.
That's so weird.
Who also was the former campaign manager for Donald Trump in his first. And those two have very different ideas of how these operations are supposed to run. And if you've heard, and look, I don't like listening to them, but I do listen to them. And so the change of the guard in Minnesota is signaling something. But yes, go ahead, Tom. Sorry.
Greg Bovino got removed back to California.
Yeah.
And Tom Homan, the border czar, in quotes, assigned to run Minneapolis. And he referred to agents being in theater. Sure. Which is a wartime thing.
Sure. Understand that Tom Homan is this sort of, J. Edgar Hoover type.
Yeah.
Right? With the language that he uses and the personality that he shows to it. But he is someone who has said consistently, which is why I think everybody was so confused about the way that this was happening consistently, that he has said that we're going after the worst of the worst. Right. That's what we're supposed to be doing. That has been his language, and that's what he says that he's going to do. However, the tactics have been under Kristi Noem and I should say Secretary Noem, but and Corey Lewandowski has been get everybody, get everything, just get everybody at once sort of approach. The changing of that is now signaling, at least it'll be interesting to see. I don't know for sure if he now is going to go in there. He's like, just let me. And he said this would go differently if we had support from local law enforcement and access to their jails. Because that's what he's saying. He's like, look, let us go after those who we already know are criminals and pull them out. So I don't know what sort of force tactic he's going to do. I don't know that Minnesota as a state is even going to be anything to do with the federal government touch anybody, let alone those who are in jail, right? But it's an interesting sort of change in how they are looking to enforce immigration policy. And it might go back. I don't trust nothing. I don't trust nobody or nothing.
The fact is it's not stepping back. It's not drawing down. It's not, nothing's changed in Minneapolis. Like they're still,
well, yes and no. I think there is going to be a show of force and then them saying, we got 5 really bad people, so we don't have to be here anymore. So it looks like they won. Yeah, right? We won.
They're going to find a way to declare victory.
Yeah. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that means. Again, the National Guard has been called up to protect the citizens of Minnesota from the federal government, which is
frightening thing to say.
Well, and again, I think another thing that's important to point out is as much as people are like, hey, at least the police feels a little bit more like on our side, or we appreciate them a little bit more differently. Our need for how we criminalize so many things is a result of how we've allowed and continued to fund and amplify and uplift, even when we've seen necessary reforms required for our police force. Like there is an extension to this. And though I do appreciate that police forces across the nation have thought better, some of them are participating in helping the federal government. And I'm saying this not just ICE. This is our federal government. ICE is part of our federal government. So I of course I'm referring to ICE, but when I'm acknowledging you all, this is our federal government doing this. It's not, and I get it. I get why people want to distinguish between the two. They're all together, y'all. ICE is the federal government. Your president is doing this. I'm saying the federal government because our Bill of Rights protects us from our federal government.
And again, that's been the argument for the Second Amendment, is to allow people to protect themselves against a tyrannical federal government.
Yes, absolutely.
But the Second Amendment people do not see what's happening in Minnesota as a tyrannical government.
Well, I think so. They've used some certain language to...
Some have broken away.
Some have said, this is interesting. This is something that should be investigated. And it feels like, or it seems like, which is cool, great. It took you a couple of days, though. Even after that video came out, it took a couple of days. But whatever you have to do, put some pressure. I'll take it right now. But yeah, like, it's interesting how we are able to shift our values and beliefs when it's applied to certain people and not others, right? And that means to me, like, oh, you really didn't believe that in the long run. You just wanted to be... you just want to be a bother. Like, you actually don't believe that. If you believe that the Second Amendment is, and it's a struggle, right? If you believe the Second Amendment is something that is important and should apply to all, then it needs to apply to all, not just the all that you're okay with, right? And that's the thing. I think what is difficult for folks to understand, first of all, if you only know Renee and Alex's name, but not the other people who have died in custody or not in custody this past month that our federal government has killed using ICE, then we're not in it for the whole thing, right? And I think what is shocking to folks, like, why would I think people are, of course, surprised that the federal government is doing this, but they're also incredibly surprised that it's white people who are getting harmed this way. And when you put yourselves in a position where you're supporting community rather than from the government, you become less white. You lose proximity to whiteness, even if you are white, when that happens. It is a significant thing that I think folks are starting to realize, that when you are in this place and in this space now and choose to go against them and us versus them kind of thing, understand that you are less white to them. Not even like the bad versus good white. You are just not white anymore to them. Right. And that's an important thing to know, right? The other thing I want to point out too is I understand people wanting to make sure folks understand, please stop trying to compare just world history, because especially using World War II as an example, and what Hitler did, et cetera. There's a horrible thing. Keep in mind that in that, because you know that story because the U.S. were the heroes in that, and that's why you know that language and that story. But please know that this is not something that only exists with that. Like, you can use our own U.S. history. There is plenty of U.S. history that shows that we have used these tactics on the others since the birth of this nation. You do not need to use another world's history, another part of the world, to make comparison. Tell our own. Remind people of our own, and that, like, hey, we help influence that one. Parts of that, but because of our history, but like also remember like how we've done or what we've done to Black people in America, what we've done to Indigenous people in America, what we've done in so many different things. When you want to try to make a point or an argument on some level, like, I think there is something to be said about, like, we have to look at ourselves. And like I said, some of us have said, like, yeah, no, I'm not surprised by this. We've already done this before.
What got us started talking about this was a piece about Wisconsin gun laws. And it's pretty simple, actually, in that if you are licensed to carry a firearm in Wisconsin, you can open carry anywhere, pretty much, unless, like, a lot of places will have a sign that says you can't bring a gun in here, and also like on federal property, ironically. But pretty much if you are licensed to carry a firearm, you can also get a concealed carry permit with some additional training and like $40. The thing about concealed carry is you cannot conceal carry within 1,000 feet of a school.
Yeah.
And if you're in any kind of city, like you're almost always within 1,000 feet of a school.
Yeah.
The other thing to note is that a lot of times, if you have a Wisconsin concealed carry license, you can go to other states and they'll honor that license. Minnesota doesn't.
Yeah, I would say Minnesota
So
does not.
Don't try to go to Minneapolis with your concealed weapon to save the day.
Also, don't try to go to Minneapolis to save the day.
Yeah.
There are other ways to support, right? There are ways to support locally here to prepare in different ways. Legal funds, plenty of them. Organizations, plenty of them in Wisconsin. But there are also places to help support in Minneapolis as well. That does not require the labor of them taking care of you and going into a place that you don't know or don't understand or what that community is going through. Right? We don't need a trauma bond in that way with them. We need to support them. And some of those funds include mental health care, first aid care, legal defense fund care, et cetera. Absolutely. Those are all valid ways to support. And the ways that you can support too is understanding the taxes that are happening in those spaces and places and, what locally could have impact right now and how to support folks right now, including legal defense funds as well, first aid, doing a know your rights, teach that plenty of folks do, and understanding immigration policy, quite frankly, in the United States and the history of it, and also understanding our own history and what harm we've done before.
Right. All right. So all of that's heavy stuff. We're going to take a short pause and then we'll hear from Juliana Bennett. And then after that, my AI robot massage.
Hello, Juliana. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here on this beautiful, very cold Wisconsin day.
I know. It was negative 14, but maybe we're up to -8 now. So
Oh, gosh.
it's very nice. But it's good to have you. I want to talk about your campaign. Very exciting campaign, very grassroots campaign. And you launched was it late September? Is that correct?
October.
October, beginning of October.
Yeah.
Around there.
Around
in
there.
fall.
Yeah. I know. And so.
And what made you want to jump into this race? I mean, it's a big task, but you have a lot of, your political experience, you have a lot of ties, and you obviously know the issues. What made you want to jump in?
Well, look, I mean, the thing that made me want to jump in was an experience I had while I was a City of Madison alder. For those that don't know me well, I was first elected to the Common Council in 2021 when I was 21 years old.
Wow.
Yep. 3 years ago, though, my dad suffered from cardiac arrest. And he had a 6% chance of living, beat the odds. But his life came at the cost of a $500,000 medical bill.
Oh my goodness.
And he was evicted. And I couldn't do anything about it. I was sitting on the city council, had all the connections. I just graduated from UW-Madison with degrees in real estate and political science and had just started my job at the Wisconsin Housing and Economic Development Authority, or WHEDA. But at the end of the day, when it comes to protecting tenants and when it comes to solving our housing crisis, that is a state and federal level issue. And I feel very equipped to do that. And right now is an incredibly important time to be running. I know I'm coming into this race at 25 years old. The last time Madison elected someone under 30 was 70 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And that was Fred Risser. Yep.
I didn't know that. Oh, Fred Risser. Wow.
Yeah, he was elected when he was 21 to the state assembly. So it's important because we are all under attack. And I will tell you, this campaign is about electing the person that is going to fight for Madison and for Wisconsin at a time where the fascist dictatorship is taking over, and at a time when we have a real shot at a Democratic majority, which makes this seat the 90% Dem district, the most Democratic district, the beating heart of the state. Whoever has this seat will be leading the state in the future. And that's why this election is important, and that's why I'm running.
And I've been to your website, and you have the issues laid out very well. And I don't think we need to go down each one. People can go to the website. But what are the top ones for you?
Yeah. We need to raise the minimum wage over $20 an hour now. We need to make sure that every single person has an affordable home. That includes passing a tenant bill of rights. That means really making some changes to why our property taxes are spiking. And we need to fully fund public schools, because every kid, regardless of zip code, deserves a decent education and deserves a chance to succeed.
And a lot of your issues, it basically comes down to what is the key word every time about affordability, whether it's healthcare, housing, all the way down the line. People cannot afford too many. Everybody's living paycheck to paycheck, right? Is that kind of how you feel?
Exactly. I think, honestly, when I hear the word affordability, it is important. Don't get me wrong. I do feel a little annoyed because it's become this sort of consultant buzzword. But it's exactly like you're saying. I mean, heck, it's the end of the month and I have negative $10,000 to my name in debt, and am barely scraping by. I'm going to be eating ramen for the next 5 days until I get paid. That's a real issue, and people are really struggling right now.
Right. And also, I see on your website, or you're Democratic Socialists. People
Yes.
have sometimes some people know exactly what that means. Other people have no idea what that means. Some people project what they think it means, and they're entirely wrong. So you can tell us what that means. That would be great.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, if you like Mamdani, if you like Fran, then you'll probably like me, is what I'll say. And democratic socialism is about it's a real, how do we tackle our economic system? Do you believe that, you should be working for $7.25 an hour while your boss is pocketing billions and billions of dollars? I don't think so. And if you don't think so, then you probably have some socialist ideals. It's about making sure that we redistribute the wealth and institute some real, more democratic systems, so that not so that everyone has a say, not just the politically connected and wealthy few.
Do you believe that the politically connected are keeping people divided with sometimes nonsense, sometimes wedge issues and things like that, and keeping them focusing on democratic socialist principles? Do you find that?
Absolutely. I mean, I think, honestly, the thing that's coming to mind right now is how, as Democrats, we've tackled identity politics. Right now, the fascist Republicans are attacking our trans community en masse, like truly, are trying to commit, trans genocide, really. And at the same time, they're brutally attacking Black and brown people. And I think that as a Democratic Party, we've sometimes struggled with, uh, how we handle the nuances in identity, and like we end up fighting against each other. We end up fighting on like who what issue gets to be elevated and what issue doesn't. And in the end of the day, we're fighting amongst each other and not fighting the real big bad, which is, the billionaires. We're divided, and honestly, I currently work in the state assembly and have been really disillusioned with how much power lobbyists and mega corporations have in that building, even amongst those in our own party, and the fact that we don't have a consensus around raising the minimum wage, about fully funding public schools, and about actually tackling the fact that we need 200,000 affordable homes in Wisconsin. It's a real problem. I think we're elected to serve the people, but quite often those that are elected only serve those that have proximity to power and money.
Now let's talk about the 76, which I believe that I am in. I live over by East. So is it everything east of the Capitol, kind of? Can you kind of explain the district a little bit?
Sure. If you live in the 76, so starting around the Capitol, and then it moves, it's kind of like a funnel. So it moves through the Isthmus, down Willie Street, down Johnson, through Tenney, and then it kind of branches up into like that Sassy neighborhood just past the Yahara River, and then up through the north side. And like currently myself, I'm a north sider, so
All right. You're probably pretty close to me.
probably if you live by East High School.
I'm over by Dexter's, kind of.
We might be really close.
Yeah.
I maybe I shouldn't promote where I live. But I live down the street from Warner Park, pretty close to where that mobile home park is.
Sure.
On the north side.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, good. And it's a great district. Obviously,
Right.
lots of liberals.
Lots of liberals. I said this before, but this district, we are the most Democratic leaning district in the state. We're over 90% Dem. And I think that us as a district, like, we need to recognize how important that is. I think that oftentimes we can get, written off because we've had such strong Republican majorities for so long. But with, having new maps, this seat becomes all the more important, because whatever we say is the limit becomes the limit. So if I go out there and I say, $20 an hour, that's what the minimum wage should be, that's what it becomes, when it really should be like, $25 or $30 an hour at this point. If I say, I don't know if we should actually have a public bank, that's the limit. So it's kind of cool. We have that agency of determining what this limit is.
Have you been going door to door in the district?
Yeah, I actually have. I love door knocking. It's my favorite part about campaigning. And yeah, on the doors, the top things I keep hearing from folks is they're feeling the consequences of how Republicans have tackled municipal finance on their property tax bills. They're feeling afraid for their kids, whether that be like having decent childcare, or that they have a trans kid, or they have a Black and brown kid. And yeah, I think people are honestly just very excited, want someone that's gonna fight for them.
Well, if you would have came to my door this morning, it would have been froze. I was telling Rob that my door, it's an old door, it froze. I had to push it from the outside. So
That's crazy.
I'm glad you didn't come but I'll
No,
expect to see you in my district.
I mean, look, I love you, Dave. I'm sure at some point I'll knock your door. But yeah,
Not today.
stay inside.
A lot of time, a lot of spring. So the election will be in August, right? The primary?
Yeah, it's an August
And
primary.
then, okay. What
Yes.
do you think, you have, how many people are in it now? Or is it 4 or
Yeah,
total?
yeah. 4
4?
total. Yeah.
What makes you the best candidate? What do you think? Or what
Oh,
do you, if people say, why should I vote for you? I know it's a simple question. And
oh, joy. No, I'm really excited about this question. Um, I keep saying this, but I really think that this election comes down not to exact policy issues. It's so easy for anyone in this race to just me too, whatever the most left thing is. This race is about how we are going to move um, in government and how we are going to use this position. I have a very clear track record and background of being a fighter and a doer. I on the Madison Common Council led the charge on all like the housing initiatives that are happening right now, including legalizing duplexes citywide, including passing over 1,000 units of affordable housing. And actually, I am the candidate that has drafted and passed original legislation um, as an alder. Also, I have a really strong background of working across the aisle. While I was a federal legislative liaison with WIDA, um, my entire job was lobbying our Republican Congress members, and I'm very proud to say that we actually got, you know, Republicans from Derek Van Orden to Brian Style to sign on to some of our bills. And no, I will be effective in the assembly. Um, but most of all, I think that what makes me the strongest candidate for this race is that I'm someone that is very deeply rooted in community and my values. I know that there's going to be times when I'm trying to think of a nice way to say this. I know that there's going to be times when the values of this district are going to differ from what is asked of us from within the party or within politics that be. I know that I will always remain rooted and fight for what this district needs. And I think that's what we need today. I think we need someone that's going to build people up and bring people together, and not divide us on issue or identity.
oh, is it Juliana or Juliana? Well,
Julian,
how do you say? I mean, or both,
oh my
or
gosh,
neither.
you just gave me a whole complex. I call myself Juliana. Um,
Juliana.
you can say
Do people
Juliana
call you
though. I
Juliana? Juliana?
Juliana. Hey, I'm Juliana Bennett.
Are you looking forward to when it gets a little warmer? We're on the coldest day of the year right now, just to do more of that, just going out and just the best way is to see what people's issues actually are and to talk
Yeah.
to people. You looking forward to doing
Oh,
that when it gets a little bit warmer?
100%, 100%. I mean, right now we're doing our best with what we can, while it's cold with organizing. I'm really excited. We have a couple of really cool events coming up. On the January 27th, we have an event at Cardinal Bar about housing affordability. And then the event that I'm super pumped about is gonna be on February 12th at Gamma Ray Bar. It's my 26th birthday, and we're gonna
Ooh,
have a
okay.
big birthday bash. But absolutely, no, I very much look forward to getting out and talking to my community members. And honestly, like, I love Madisonians. I know I'm probably babbling at this point, but
Not
um
at all.
okay, good.
They are
Every
Madisonians are eclectic, especially on the east side. You will bump into some weird houses. Uh, if you haven't already, but
everyone's
in a good
so
way.
interesting. Everyone's so interesting. And everyone, one thing that like really stood out to me when I started knocking doors is that folks are, every single person I talk to is involved in something.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, and there's so many different organizations right now that are doing really incredible work. So, I've honestly, I've really enjoyed getting to know where people are and what they're doing. I've learned a lot. I've also made friends. Like, I don't know, like I cold called someone that just moved to the north side the other day, and we set up a play date with our dogs at Warner Dog Park.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyways, to answer your question, absolutely. I look forward to hearing what folks have to say and encourage you all to reach out to me. Our socials are Juliana for the People on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. I love TikTok. Follow me on TikTok, please.
I'll make sure I mention all those. Yeah, when you're walking on the north side, especially like 5 blocks from here, there's one person that has a giant werewolf in the front yard with 60 mannequin heads next to
Oh my
making a
God.
path to the werewolf. You'll see it when you're walking. It's about 5 blocks from here.
Can't wait to see
Just
that.
preparing you for that, so you're not surprised when you're doing doors
That's really cool. That's
and
really
other stuff like that. But all right, that's all the questions I have. It's just beautiful that you joined us today. Thanks for joining us, Juliana,
Thanks for
and
having
good luck on your campaign.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And thanks again to Juliana Bennett and Dave Dahmer for that. Again, the primary election is August 11th, the general November 3rd. To round out the show this week, I have something lighter for you. You might have seen my story yesterday titled, aptly, I Got a Massage from an AI Robot. And before you turn off the podcast in anger and disgust, this is not ChatGPT, right? This is not generative AI. This is not large language model. This is task-oriented machine learning, which is different. It's not data center stuff necessarily, right? This is robotic arms. So let me back up. I got a text over the weekend from our friend, our CEO, Henry Sanders, basically forwarding a text from Dr. Nestor Rodriguez, who is the founder and owner of Carbon World Health, which is they have a gym, they have a kind of a spa, they have a lot of health-oriented wellness stuff that you can do at Carbon World Health. And it asked, do we want to try out the new AI robotic massage table? And you get the opportunity to try a lot of stuff in this business when you're a journalist. A lot of people will invite you to experience something so that you can write about it. AI massage robot is not something I thought I would ever experience, but here it was. And I said, hell yes, thank you very much. I will give it a try. So on Wednesday, I went over to Carbon World Health, which is on Whitney Way, right on the corner of Whitney Way and Mineral Point Road on the west side of Madison. They also have a location in Sun Prairie. It's called an Escape massage table. It's spelled with a silent A. It's AESCAPE, and you can just Google that if you want to see what this thing looks like. So I went there Wednesday and I did the paperwork and went back there, and it was it looks like a massage table. It looks like a regular massage table, but there's these two white, sort of sleek, futuristic looking arms sticking up, and they had to put on this like bodysuit thing. It's actually two pieces. It's like a t-shirt and pants that it felt like long johns, kind of. Like I'm going for a hike outside in the winter, but it was super tight. It was like tight like a wetsuit. Not flattering at all, but that's okay. Found out later, the cloth has nanotechnology in it. I don't know exactly what that means, except there's like tiny stuff in it that is sensitive to the infrared sensors on the robotic arms. So the first part of the massage is like the hands, in quotes, of the arms kind of scanning your body to assess your muscles and stuff, and they'll find if one is inflamed or if injured or if a spot is particularly tight or whatever, which I think is pretty cool. And let me pause for a moment and just say this is not a paid endorsement. This is not an advertisement. Carbon World Health did not pay us for this. Like, this is my genuine experience. The technician there was helping me get in and showed me that the little hand things are padded. and warmed, which is kind of nice. There's when you lay down on the table face down, you're looking through the little donut thing, and there's like an iPad down there, and you can control and you can like move the headrest up and down and side to side, and move the ankle rest up and down. I'm short, so I had to move the ankle rest up quite a bit. And then it starts, and like it felt like a really firm massage. I left the firmness on medium, but it felt really firm. And the wild part is it's symmetrical. Right? So it's like having two massage therapists working on you simultaneously on both sides of your spine. And it did the whole thing. And it did shoulders all the way back down to calves. The one thing it doesn't do is the front of your body. And apparently the company is working on that. They're doing some R&D to create a new system that can do that. There's music playing, and I have to say, the music that was playing was, I guess, supposed to be like relaxing, but it sounded like all I could think of was podcast ad background music. And I expected any moment for Scott Galloway to come in to start talking and say, today's episode of Pivot is brought to you by Squarespace. And about 3/4 of the way through the massage, there's a little timer thing on the screen so you can see how much time you have left. And I noticed about 3/4 of the way through, a little button on the lower left-hand corner said music. So I was able to finish the massage with classic rock because I'm white and 51 years old. But overall, a very cool experience. This is the only one of these machines in Wisconsin, one of only 4 in the Midwest. There's one in Minneapolis and 2 in Chicago. But basically, this is one of the first independent places that has one of these. The company Escape partnered with Equinox, which is a nationwide chain of wellness places, like Four Seasons Hotels and a couple other sort of luxury type brands, but very few independent locations have this, and we have it right here in Madison, Carbon World Health. Right now, the cost is $2 a minute, and then you can choose 15, 30, 60, or 90 minutes. No, I'm sorry, that's wrong. Let me back up. 15, 30, 45, or 60. And if you do a quick search on massage prices in Madison, you'll find that is basically on the high end of normal. Right? You can really expect to spend $120 on a 60-minute massage pretty much anywhere you go. And this has some advantages. If you don't like being naked, or don't like skin-to-skin contact, or uncomfortable with the human massage process, this is an option for you. Also, we should mention Carbon World Health is owned by a doctor. So it's different. There's a different approach than if you get the sort of relaxing luxury massage at a fancy spa when you're on vacation versus in a place that is medically oriented, health oriented. There are medical benefits to any kind of massage, but that's the approach that they take. And it's not, I wouldn't call it a relaxing experience. I felt relaxed, I guess, but I have a hard time relaxing anyway. But relaxing, feeling nice is not necessarily the point. It's to help your body recover or prevent injury. So from that perspective, it was really a good experience. And it's just kind of cool that. And the other cool part is if you go back, there's an app, right? If you buy like a package or a membership or whatever, there's an app that will remember you and remember the spots that it worked on before and all your settings and like where your injuries are or where your tightness is or whatever. So that's all very, very cool. So that's all we have for you. And again, thank you to Dr. Rodriguez for reaching out and offering us that experience. Check it out. I mean, I wrote my story. It's up at Madison365.org. It's just very cool to see a local business housing something that's innovative like that. Thanks a lot for listening, folks. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you again soon. 365 Amplified is produced and edited by me, Rob Chappell, and is a production of 365 Media Foundation, a nonprofit, local, independent media organization in Madison, Wisconsin. Wherever you're listening to this right now, hit the subscribe or follow button to get new episodes every Friday. And between episodes, get your latest news at Madison365.org and follow us on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Threads. Wherever you get your news, we'll be there.
Marketing is hard. But I'll tell you a little secret. It doesn't have to be. Let me point something out. You're listening to a podcast right now, and it's great. You love the host, you seek it out and download it. You listen to it while driving, working out, cooking, even going to the bathroom. Podcasts are a pretty close companion. And this is a podcast ad. Did I get your attention? You can reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Libsyn Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a pre-produced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience in their favorite podcasts with Libsyn Ads. Go to libsynads.com, that's LIBSYN, ads.com today.